Welcome to A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students, Lesson 170. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. No one attacks without intent to hurt. This can have no exception. When you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to be cruel is protection. Whew. I'm going to pause and just say that's powerful. How many times have I thought I was defending myself when I was being cruel? Because I was trying to protect myself by giving them a taste of their own medicine or teaching them a lesson. I don't do that as much anymore because I realize that to defend myself is to attack. When you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to be cruel is protection. You are safe because of cruelty. You mean that you believe to hurt another brings you freedom. And you mean that to attack is to exchange the state in which you are for something better, safer, more secure, from dangerous invasion and from fear. And I'll pause here and say, we all know that's not true. We all know that attacking others to stay safe only invites more attack. And I'll also add, of course, I don't believe that A Course in Miracles is saying you shouldn't physically defend yourself. You are a steward over your body, and if someone comes at you with a baseball bat, yeah, please run away if you can, or if you have to, put your arm up to protect your face, call for help, do what you need to do to protect your physical body. Primarily what A Course in Miracles is talking about is not body identification. It is intent. It is your heart. It is your mind. It is your soul. Of thinking thoughts like, well, if I tear down this person, then they can't tear down me. But we know that's not how reality works. As we're tearing them down, we're tearing down ourselves, and we're creating a system where there'll be more pain. How thoroughly insane is the idea that to defend from fear is to attack? For here is fear begot and fed with blood to make it grow and swell and rage. And thus is fear protected, not escaped. Today we learn a lesson which can save you more delay and needless misery than you can possibly imagine. Okay, so that's quite a promise. We're going to learn a lesson that will save us needless misery. Let's take this very seriously. I know that I am. It is this. You make what you defend against. And by your own defense against it, is it real and inescapable? Lay down your arms, and only then do you perceive it false. Wow. I'm going to testify this is true. I've actually applied this directly, and it was literally the truth. I won't go into the details because I don't have permission or need to drag any other person into this, but an individual, a person accused me of something that I didn't do, and they had admitted to me that they knew I didn't do it. They understood that another person had done this, but they expressed that they couldn't go after this person, but they could go after me. And I was in shock because this is someone who I had been nothing but loving and kind to. And my ego's initial reaction was, I'm going to tear this person down because I have some very damaging information about them. I can tear them apart. They're coming after me. They deserve this. I have to do this. And I got such strong spiritual guidance. Lay down your sword. Lay down your sword. That's what I was told. And I understood that the strongest person in the room doesn't need a sword. And I understood that in this situation, I was the strongest person because I was choosing love over fear. And I refused to attack this person. I refused even to defend myself in the sense that I would try to tear them down to stay safe because I knew that was nonsense. I knew that would only escalate the situation and cause us both further harm. I didn't want to be a part of that cycle. So I trusted the guidance and I laid down my sword and I listened with love and compassion. And this person's heart softened completely and they dropped the false charges. And they apologized in their way and invited me to come to their home and be with them and visit with them. And there is still only a feeling of love towards this person in my heart. I probably wouldn't go into business with them or try and create a close connection that isn't naturally flowing already. I don't believe A Course in Miracles is asking us to be foolish or to not use our human intellect. But I was so grateful for that guidance, because I know that if I had gone into defensive attack, that it would have escalated and gotten ugly, very ugly. It's hard to believe, but love can protect us more than fear ever can. Trust the guidance of Spirit. There have been other times where I have had someone threaten me in various ways, and Spirit guided me to respond strongly of, hey, this isn't right, this isn't okay, this is unacceptable to me, and I will not participate in this. And it was a strongly worded email or conversation where I didn't back down, and that was the guidance I received. But I was truly speaking truth from a place of love, with intent to solve, with intent to create resolution, not intent to get ahead or to harm or to hurt this person. So I mention that because things can get confusing in the world of man. It is imperative that you do listen to love and that your intent is love and truth. And love can be firm. Love isn't namby-pamby and afraid. No, it's the opposite of that. But it's so strong and so brave and so powerful that it doesn't have a need to pick up a sword. You make what you defend against, and by your own defense, it is real and inescapable. Lay down your arms, and only then do you perceive it false. I laid down my sword and I realized I didn't need to be protected because I was indomitable. It seems to be the enemy without that you attack, yet your defense sets up an enemy within, an alien thought at war with you, depriving you of peace, splitting your mind into two camps, which seem wholly irreconcilable. For love now has an enemy, an opposite, and fear, the alien, now needs your defense against the threat of what you really are. So I'm going to pause and say, in my experience, what happens is when you start to defend yourself, you're basically agreeing to play a role this other person wants you to play of enemy. You're basically taking the bait to slug it out and participate in this illusion of fear, in the nightmare. What I found is that you actually can decline. Just because someone invites you to sit down and eat a bowl of mud doesn't mean that you have to say yes and sit down and eat a bowl of mud with them. You are well within your rights to decline that offer and to stay in love. Firmly, powerfully, kindly, safely in your love. And sometimes that means disengaging from a person, place, or situation that is only offering you conflict. If you consider carefully the means by which your fancied self-defense proceeds on its imagined way, you will perceive the premises on which the idea stands. First, it is obvious ideas must leave their source, for it is you who make attack and must have first conceived of it. Yet you attack outside yourself and separate your mind from him who is to be attacked. With perfect faith, the split you made is real. Next are the attributes of love bestowed upon its enemy, for fear becomes your safety and protector of your peace, to which you turn for solace and escape from doubts about your strength and hope of rest in dreamless quiet. And as love is shorn of what belongs to it, and it alone, love is endowed with attributes of fear. I'm going to pause here. It's really beautiful. As love is shorn of what belongs to it. Because that's what's happening when we choose a fear story. And we choose to participate in other people's fear stories. And as love is shorn of what belongs to it, and it alone, love is endowed with attributes of fear. For love would ask you lay down all defenses as merely foolish, and your arms indeed would crumble into dust, for such they are. With love as enemy, most cruelty become a god, and gods demand that those who worship them obey their dictates and refuse to question them. Harsh punishment is meted out relentlessly to those who would ask if the demands are sensible or even sane. So we're making a god of our egos and listening to their insanity because we think that will protect us, although it will do the opposite. It is their enemies who are unreasonable and insane, while they are always merciful and just. Today we look upon this cruel God dispassionately, and we note that though his lips are smeared with blood and fire seems to flame from him, he is but made of stone. That God is not real. He can do nothing. We need not defy his power. He has none. And those who see in him their safety have no guardian, no strength to call upon in danger, and no mighty warrior to fight for them. This moment can be terrible, but it can also be the time of your release from abject slavery. You make a choice, standing before this idol, seeing him exactly as he is. Will you restore to love what you have sought to wrest from it and lay before this mindless piece of stone? Or will you make another idol to replace it? For the God of cruelty takes many forms. Another can be found. Yet do not think that fear is the escape from fear. I'm going to pause here and say, I've had times in my life where I was hiding from fear, which is the most ridiculous statement I can imagine now. That's like saying, I'm going to hide here in the dark in the shadow so the dark can't find me. Yet do not think that fear is an escape from fear. Let us remember what the text has stressed about the obstacles to peace. The final one, the hardest to believe, is nothing, and a seeming obstacle with the appearance of a solid block, impenetrable, fearful, and beyond surmounting. It is the fear of God himself. Wow. Here's the basic premise which enthrones the thought of fear as God. For fear is loved by those who worship it, and love appears to be invested now with cruelty. Where does the totally insane belief in God's vengeance come from? Love has not confused its attributes with those of fear, yet must the worshippers of fear perceive their own confusion in fear's enemy, its cruelty as now a part of love. I'm going to pause and say basically what's being said here is that we're confusing love with fear, and we're intermingling those attributes, which in fact cannot be. Love has no opposite. And what becomes more fearful than the heart of love itself? The blood appears to be on his lips. The fire comes from him. So we're projecting. I'm going to pause and say, so this is the ego projecting its own evil intent onto God. And he is terrible above all else, cruel beyond conception, striking down all who acknowledge him to be their God. The choice you make today is certain, for you look for the last time upon this bit of carven stone you made and call it God no longer. You have reached this place before, but you have chosen that this cruel God remain with you in still another form. And so the fear of God returned with you. This time you leave it there, and you return to a new world, unburdened by its weight, beheld not in its sightless eyes, but in the vision that your choice restored to you. Now do your eyes belong to Christ, and he looks through them. Now your voice belongs to God and echoes his. I'm going to pause and say, remember, we really only have two choices, love or fear. And in the end, we'll all choose love, because we'll get so tired of fear that we'll surrender to love. And now your heart remains at peace forever. You have chosen him in place of idols, and your attributes given by your Creator are restored to you at last, your true attributes. The call for God is heard and answered. Now has fear made way for love, and God himself replaces cruelty. Father, we are like you. No cruelty abides in us, for there is none in you. Your peace is ours, and we bless the world with what we have received from you alone. We choose again and make our choice for all our brothers, knowing they are one with us. We bring them your salvation as we have received it now, and we give thanks for them who render us complete. In them we see your glory, and in them we find our peace. Holy are we because your holiness has set us free, and we give thanks. Amen. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love you. I'm grateful for you. I honor you. Thank you for the work you're doing, for this healing, for this bringing heaven to earth from the inside out. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow, where we will start a review period and go deeper with the lessons and review these past several lessons we've had. Lesson 171.